Some bonds, they say, are unbreakable, simple as tying a knot. Family bonds, especially, supposed to be sacred, right? Rules etched in stone, boundaries you wouldn't even dream of crossing, feelings neatly labeled, safely filed away. But life, man, life's got a wicked sense of humor. It loves to test those lines, push even the strongest folks toward choices that used to be unthinkable. My name is Sarah, 62 years young, or so I thought. I thought I knew myself, knew what family meant, knew my place in the whole damn picture. Years I spent living that quiet life, married late to Robert, a good man, sure, but more comfortable on the road than at home. I filled my days with little things, my routines, found this weird comfort in knowing tomorrow would pretty much be the same as today. Then came the before I found myself alone with Ethan, my husband's son from his first marriage. Ethan, he was like a ghost in our house, always in the background, quiet, kept his distance, polite nods, maybe a word or two, nothing more. Totally ordinary until it wasn't. Something shifted, he changed, or maybe it was me, still trying to figure that part out. All I know is this unspoken thing started growing between us, a silent hum. We didn't say it out loud, not at first, but then it got too loud to ignore, and in a few heartbeats, everything I thought was solid just crumbled. We crossed a line, a big one, and now we're both spinning, reeling from the fallout. This is how it happened, how I, Sarah, stepped over that line and learned the real gut-punching cost of breaking the rules. 62 in New York City wasn't exactly on my radar when I was younger. Yet here I was. Upper West Side apartment, routines down to a science, finding peace in the rhythm I'd built. Robert and I met later in life, past the usual starting gate for marriage, but it felt right, solid. He was dependable, calm, a logistics manager, always jetting off somewhere. Left me to run the apartment, tend to my own quiet world, and I liked that simplicity. For years, I was a physical therapist, helping people get their bodies back, their lives back. Fulfilling work, but tough. When Robert and I married, I hung up my hat, ready for that life we'd talked about, the one with more time together. Didn't see his job keeping him gone as much as it did. Loneliness, it snuck in like a thief, quiet at first, then steady, like a shadow getting longer every day he was away. That's where Ethan comes back in. Robert's only kid from his first marriage, 30-something, reserved, lived a life that rarely bumped into ours. EMT, long night shifts, seen too much, I figured. He moved back into our place a few years ago, after a messy breakup. Wasn't your typical happy family reunion. He kept to himself, polite but distant, like we were sharing air, not a home. I didn't mind. Exchanges were civil, even friendly, but no deep connection. Always felt strange, this dynamic. Technically family, but there was this invisible wall. Age difference, maybe, circumstances. He came into my life after Robert and I were already a unit. Pleasant enough. And I often wondered if things would be different if Robert was around more. But we both seemed okay with the arrangement, this unspoken pact to share space, little else. Still, as years ticked by, subtle shifts started happening. He'd offer to help around the apartment, fix a leaky faucet, change a light bulb. Sometimes, he'd bring me a mug of tea if he saw me reading in the living room. Small things surprised me, but I welcomed them. That rare warmth cutting through the usual silence. One night especially stands out, like the starting gun for all this. Late, Robert gone on a business trip as always. I was lost in a book when I heard the front door creak open, heavy footsteps. Ethan, back from his shift, looked beat, more than usual. "Long night?" I asked, noticing the shadows under his eyes. He nodded, sighed, sank into the armchair across from me. "Yeah, tougher than usual. Some nights, they just stick with you, you know?" His voice was different that night, softer, almost raw. For the first time, he seemed willing to crack open, let me see a sliver of the man behind the quiet act. I nodded, felt it, this need to share, even if he wasn't saying it straight out. We sat in silence for a few minutes, then, without thinking, I reached out, put a hand on his shoulder. Gentle pat. "I can't imagine what you go through," I said softly. "But you're doing something important, Ethan. Don't forget that." He looked up at me, eyes searching mine, deeper than I'd ever seen. Fleeting, just a moment, but it hung there, a quiet link neither of us named, but both felt. I pulled my hand back, suddenly aware of the space between us, the quiet charge in the air, went back to my book, tried to shake off the feeling that settled over me. Later, in bed, my mind kept circling back to that moment. our conversation, his eyes, the weight in his voice. Never really thought about Ethan outside those polite exchanges, but something had shifted, like an invisible thread had appeared, pulling us closer in ways I hadn't seen coming. Tried to brush it off as empathy, just reacting to his stress, but in the quiet dark, couldn't shake the feeling that something was changing, something neither of us understood yet. Days drifted by, nothing much happened, but I kept replaying that night in my head. His expression, that heavy look. Couldn't shake it. For years, our relationship was just polite respect, formality between two people who happened to share an apartment. Now, this unexpected connection, growing, making me both curious and uneasy. Then, one evening, maybe a week after that late night talk, I was in the living room alone when I heard the front door open again. Ethan, looking even more wiped out than before, shoulders slumped, face tired. I gave a small smile as he put his bag down, eyes met mine, tired nod. He headed to the kitchen. On impulse, I followed. Pouring myself a glass of water, I poured one for him too. He sat at the small kitchen table. I put the glass in front of him, sat across. He looked surprised, didn't say anything. We just sat there, quiet, the silence strangely comfortable. After a while, he started talking, like he couldn't hold it in anymore. Stories about his work, the emotional toll, how it felt to carry other people's lives in his hands. Voice low, thoughtful, talking about things he'd kept buried, maybe even from himself. I listened, hooked on this glimpse into his hidden world. "It's strange, you know?" he said finally, gaze fixed on the table. "Sometimes I feel like I'm just drifting through everything, waiting for something to make sense." Raw honesty caught me off guard. Without thinking, I reached out, put my hand over his. Comforting gesture felt both natural and totally new. He looked up, eyes met mine, flicker of vulnerability that made my heart skip. "I know that feeling," I whispered, squeezed his hand gently. "Life, it pulls us in directions we never planned." He didn't pull his hand away. He held it. And in that moment, this intensity between us, unexpected. Like we were really seeing each other for the first time. Two lonely souls finding a sliver of comfort in the strangest place. As we sat there, the kitchen felt smaller, air thicker, charged with something unspoken. I knew I should pull my hand back, break the spell. Couldn't move. Heart raced, this weird excitement bubbling up. We just lingered there. Finally, he let go of my hand, expression shifting back to that polite mask. "Thank you, Sarah," he said softly, voice barely there. I nodded, throat tight. We both got up, moved in different directions, no more words. That night, in bed, my mind wouldn't quit. Him, his tired eyes, the way he looked at me. Felt wrong, these thoughts, but I couldn't shut them down. Wondered if he felt it too, this something hanging between us. Unspoken, maybe unwanted. Days passed. We didn't talk about that night in the kitchen, but the air between us felt different, charged. We avoided being in the same room too long, careful, conversations light, polite, impersonal. But the tension was there, humming. Catch his eye lingering a second too long, or find my own thoughts drifting back to those brief shared moments, echoing in the apartment. One afternoon, I was making a simple dinner in the kitchen, heard footsteps behind me. Turned, expecting Robert, but it was Ethan. Expression unreadable, doorway. "Need any help?" he asked, voice calm but eyes. Something flickering there. Pulse quickened, smiled. "No, got it under control, but you're welcome to keep me company." He came into the kitchen. We fell into this easy rhythm, moving around each other, prepping food. Quiet in the kitchen, comfortable, yet this unspoken tension kept growing, thicker every minute. At one point, reaching for a dish on the counter, my hand brushed his. Spark shot right through me, startled and drawn to it. Locked eyes. Moment. The distance between us just vanished. Felt like he could see right through me, gaze so intense, exposed, but safe somehow. Heart pounded, so aware of him, warmth of his hand still near mine. "Sarah," he said softly, voice whisper. I don't know what's happening between us, but I can't stop thinking about it." Words hung there, confession, breathless, mind racing, trying to catch up. Opened my mouth, no words, just looked at him, heart hammering, tension thick, real. Finally, I stepped back, small space between us. "Ethan, this is complicated. We're family. We have to be careful." He nodded, face tight. "I know. Believe me, I know. But doesn't change how I feel." He turned, left the kitchen, left me standing there, heart pounding, thoughts swirling. Knew whatever this was, it was dangerous, line we shouldn't even look at. But watching him walk away, ache in my chest, longing I couldn't name. That night, awake, replaying it all, exhilarated, conflicted. Should let it go, push it down, pretend it never happened. But something had changed. Couldn't just ignore it, told myself it was a phase, confusion. Deep down, knew the truth. Already too deep in. Next few weeks, Ethan and I, we were around each other more than I expected. Like this silent deal, unspoken agreement. Connection, unwise, but something we both valued, couldn't walk away from. One weekend, Robert gone again. Business trip. Ethan offered to take me to Central Park, get some air. Sounded innocent enough. But walking those paths, trees closing in, familiar pull, silent current, building for weeks. We sat on a bench overlooking the lake, quiet between us, comfortable, charged. Watched him skip a stone across the water, thoughtful look. Urged to reach out, comfort him, something I couldn't quite define. "You know, Sarah," he said quietly, gaze on the horizon, "being around you, it's the only time I feel like I can really breathe." Words hit me, bittersweet pang, flattered, scared. What we were doing, skirting the edge, about to tip over into something we couldn't control. "Ethan, we have to be careful," I said softly. Even as I said it, words felt weak. He looked at me, eyes intense, quiet. "I know, but sometimes I wonder if maybe we were meant to meet each other this way, to help each other." Surge of feelings, breathless, gratitude, longing, guilt. Without thinking, I reached for his hand, held it tight. We sat there, hands linked, quiet understanding. Back home, weight of unspoken bond heavier than ever, secret hanging in the air, filling every silence, every glance. Knew we were walking a cliff edge, but couldn't step back. Quiet meetings continued, each encounter deeper connection, each shared moment pulling us closer to a line I knew we shouldn't cross. But by then, I was lost. Caught in a bond, forbidden, felt inevitable. Night that changed everything. Started so normal. Robert, out of town, conference. Ethan and me, apartment to ourselves. Day spent busy, trying to ignore the quiet buzz of anticipation. Evening came, apartment felt emptier than usual. Kitchen, making dinner, something fancier than usual, just because. Ethan came in as I was setting the table, surprise on his face. "This looks amazing," small smile. "Special occasion?" Shrugged, tried to sound casual. "Just thought it'd be nice. Proper meal, been a while." We ate in near silence, quiet broken by small talk. But even as we talked, unspoken tension filled the room. Nervous, excited, tightrope walk, balanced on something I couldn't name. After dinner, living room, tea, Ethan's gaze on me, weight, comforting, unsettling. Finally, he put his cup down, thoughtful look. "Sarah," he started, voice soft, hesitant. "There's something I've been wanting to tell you, something struggling to say." Looked at him, heart pounding, waiting. Vulnerability in his eyes, quiet desperation, mirroring my own. "I don't know when it started," he said, gaze on the floor. "But being around you, it's different. Can't explain it. Like, you're the only person who really gets me. And I know this isn't right, but I can't help how I feel." Words hung in the air, confession, breathless. Relief, fear, longing, all crashing in. Opened my mouth, words stuck. Just looked at him, couldn't hide it anymore. Moment, distance vanished. Without thinking, reached out, hand found his. He looked up, eyes searching mine. Connection, deeper than words. Bond growing, unspoken for so long. "Ethan," I whispered, voice trembling. "This isn't easy for me either, but I can't deny it." He moved closer, hand gently on mine, warm, steady. We sat there, long time, no words. Weight of shared feelings settled between us. Knew we were on dangerous ground, line we couldn't cross. But in that moment, all the reasons, all the fears faded away. Just quiet, undeniable connection. Finally, he broke the silence, whisper. "What do we do, Sarah?" Looked down, heart heavy, choice in front of us. "I don't know," softly. "All I know is this doesn't feel wrong. Not in the way it should." Moment. Just sat there. Weight of unspoken decision. Then, unspoken agreement, both stood, slow, hesitant. He took my hand, led me to the sofa, side by side, lost in quiet intimacy. That night, not many words, glances, touches, understanding beyond words, closeness, comforting, exhilarating, quiet surrender, breathless. Dawn broke, everything changed. Cross the line, couldn't undo it, but sitting there beside him, quiet peace, feeling like for the first time in years I was where I was meant to be. Days after, Ethan and I, more careful, more aware of the risk, knew what we'd done could never be known, consequences too much for everyone. But bond kept growing, each encounter deeper connection, found ways to be alone, moments, safe, private, hidden, quiet walks in Riverside Park, coffee in a little place downtown where no one knew us, innocent on the surface, but each touch, each glance, heavy with what we both knew, started rationalizing, not hurting anyone, separate from life with Robert, Ethan and I, just helping each other through a tough time. Comfort, harmless. Deep down, knew it was a dangerous path, only heartache at the end. Weeks turned to months. Secrecy, exhilarating, exhausting. Every time I saw Robert, pang of guilt, sharp reminder. Betrayal I was hiding. Tried to keep up the act, nothing changed. Weight of the secret started to crush. Family dinners, watching Ethan across the room. Unspoken bond simmering under the surface. Quick glance, brief smile, our language, acknowledging each other without saying a word. Tried to ignore the guilt, always there, quiet reminder of the line we'd crossed. One evening, Robert and I in the living room, he looked at me worried. "Sarah, everything okay? You seem distant lately." Forced a smile, hide the mess inside. "Fine. Just tired," light tone. But he wasn't buying it. Doubt in his eyes, knew something was off, couldn't put his finger on it. After that, more careful. Delicate balance, shatter any minute. Tried to distance myself from Ethan, create space, protect whatever was left. But every time I saw him, every time he looked at me, quiet intensity pull drawing me back. Unspoken bond wouldn't let go. Knew our secret couldn't last forever. Eventually, faced the music. But in those stolen moments, quiet talks, tender glances, world outside faded away. Just connection, my refuge, my escape, wrong, betrayal, catch up to us one day. Couldn't let go. Strain of the secret, getting to both of us. Weight of guilt pressing down, constant. Line we crossed, people we were hurting. Every time I looked at Robert, pang of remorse, shame, hollow feeling. Betrayal, violation of trust, yet couldn't end it. Ethan too, feeling it. More withdrawn, open face now guarded, tense. Conversations quieter, interactions strained. Guilt seeped into everything. Both knew we were playing with fire, secrecy unbearable. Neither wanted to face what was coming. Nights, awake, mind racing. Replaying moments, shared moments. Precious, tainted. Connection, fragile illusion, fantasy couldn't survive. Still clinging to it. Only thing making me feel alive in years. Ethan and I alone, tension, longing, guilt, on edge. Easy talks fraught with unspoken words, glances heavyweight, actors in a play, trapped in roles couldn't abandon. Bound by a connection, too deep to cut. Cracks more obvious every day. Ethan's hesitation, avoiding my eyes, small gestures, internal conflict. Could feel him pulling back, distance growing, guilt we both carried. Day it all blew up, dreaded, knew it was coming. Robert, quiet way, sensed the change. Distance in my eyes, actions. Careful as I thought I was, secrets started to show, cracks even I couldn't hide. Evening, Robert came home from work, face clouded, more than just tired. Kitchen, making dinner, back to him, felt his presence. Tense silence, then he spoke. "Sarah, we need to talk." Tone stopped me cold. Turned to face him, heart pounding, forced calm. "Of course, Robert. Everything okay?" Hesitated, gaze piercing. "I've noticed things. Changes. Way you've been acting. Like, you're not really here anymore. Something you're not telling me." Throat tight, struggled to keep it together. "Robert, I'm just tired. You know how it is. We all get worn down." Eyes didn't waver. Moment. Knew he saw right through me. "It's not just that, Sarah," voice strained. "I don't want to think it, don't want to believe it, but are you hiding something from me?" Wave of panic. Moment, thought about lying, saying he was imagining things, but look in his eyes, hurt, betrayal, couldn't lie anymore. "Robert, there is something," whisper. "I never meant for it to happen, never wanted to hurt you." Face fell, step back, disbelief, devastation. "You and my son?" Quiet, piecing it together. "I don't know how, but I felt something between you two, like I was just waiting to hear you say it." Words cut deep, eyes filled with tears. "Robert, please, understand. Didn't set out for this. We were just so lonely, so lost, somehow found comfort in each other. Words hollow, even to me. No comfort for Robert. Shook his head, pain etched in his face. Sarah, we promised each other trust, loyalty, and now you and my son. Couldn't finish. Wished I could vanish, erase everything, damage I'd done. Wanted to comfort him, apologize, no words good enough. Without another word, Robert turned, walked out. Left me standing there, silence. Rift too deep to fix. Actions destroyed trust. Realization hollowed me out, part of me torn away. Days after, apartment fractured shell. Air thick, unspoken tension. Ethan, sensing it, avoided me. Guilt heavy on him. Finally, he left. Simple note on the kitchen table. I'm sorry, Sarah, for everything. Emptiness, staggering, void echoing through the apartment, weight of choices, reality of life I'd broken. Betrayed the man who trusted me, lost the one person who made me feel alive in ways I hadn't known. Cost of my choices. Pain, consequence of crossing the line. Year since that night. Pain dulled, scars remain, reminder of choices, lives I hurt. Robert and I still share the apartment. Warmth gone, careful civility, unspoken understanding, never go back. Days, catch him looking at me, sadness in his eyes. I put it there. Fragile balance, trust broken beyond repair. Polite tones, small gestures, bond gone. Ethan, haven't seen him since he left. Don't know where he is. Part of me misses him. Knew he made the right choice. Connection, fleeting, reckless fantasy. Loneliness, need, not real love. Pang of longing, think of him. Relationship, never meant to last. Quiet moments, apartment silent, Robert out. Reflecting on everything. Why did I let it happen? Woman I was before. Loyalty, family, barely recognize her now. Regret, strange acceptance. Allure of the forbidden, powerful. Even grounded people lose their way. Swept up in fantasy, thrilling, new. Lost sight of values. Come to terms with actions. Guilt remains. Reminder of lines crossed. People hurt. Go back, do things differently. Find a way to face loneliness, cracks in marriage, without seeking solace in someone who wasn't mine. Life, no second chances. Live with consequences. Share this story, not for pity. Warning. Cost of giving in, letting yourself be pulled down a path to heartache. Some lines never cross. Some desires, no matter how strong, unfulfilled. Sitting here. Aftermath of the affair. Strange peace, accepting mistakes, learn to live with scars, carry the weight. Found strength I didn't know I had. Anyone listening, lesson. Hold on to love. Cherish bonds, boundaries, respect them. Broken costs you carry lifetime.